Okay, welcome back. So we'll continue with the last chapter, okay, for your course this semester, deliverable use cases, because last week we discussed about the deployment model. Hopefully we can differentiate between these two model, delivery or service model, and also the deployment model. Okay, so this is more on the delivery models. Last week we discussed about deployment. Okay, you can see the difference and also the factors, advantage and disadvantages, and we see the example of services available for this delivery model. Okay, this is your self uh, reflection. Okay, discuss the different. Basically, we see deployment model where it looks more on the infrastructure host, where is the cloud infrastructure hosted and who are the owner and manage that particular infrastructure, right? This is deployment, where the location, where are the infrastructure is hosted. But the service model is a service layer, right? We talk about service layer, which determine the nature and particular of service delivered by a cloud. Determine how is service delivered to the customer from the cloud service provider. The nature and particular, the characteristic, the layer, how is delivered, and so on. This is the service layer. Determine the nature and particular. Okay, that's the main point. And then a cloud delivery model is different from deployment model in terms of this one. Deployment model determine how a cloud is implemented, but not the kind of service it provides, right? How the cloud is implemented. Okay, you have private, public, hybrid, community, how it's implemented, and who are the owner, who are the one that maintain and responsible to manage. Okay, that's deployment model. When we talk about service model, type of services delivered to the customer or to the subscriber by cloud service provider. You see type of service later. Is it database, application, operating system, or instances? So this is the service. We have three main additional one, right? IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and business as a process. But currently there are more and more uh, categories as a service, but actually they are within that three main model. Three main model: IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS. And IBM introduced the new one, the additional one, business process as a service. Right? We discussed earlier about infrastructure, platform, and software. So these three types and four types of delivery models actually can be hosted, can be provided by all type of deployment model. You see here, public cloud also have, community cloud can have, and private and hybrid also can have this type of services. So no matter deployment model they adopt, but all these delivery model can be offered, can be delivered. Okay, this is common image or diagram when you see about the lower operating costs and more flexibility, right? If you want more flexibility, that's mean you have more control over your uh, cloud asset, or the infrastructure as a service is the best one. But you will bound more costs, right? Because you need to pay for the resources used compared to the software as a service. Most of the time are based on licensing and based on the subscription time, period, normally a year. calculate by months, but normally the package will be by year. PaaS is in the middle, where you are required to develop your own application on top of the platform. You can see. So in IaaS here, tenant or subscriber need to manage their own middleware apps and also application, apps, data, and application. Operating system and hardware are managed by cloud service provider. But for PaaS, hardware, operating system, and middleware normally managed by provider, or cloud service provider, and you as a subscriber or tenant only manage your application and apps data, where the application normally are developed by you. Same concept in the IaaS. Maybe you are the one that develop, or you install additional application on top of your operating system. Okay. Differently with the SaaS application also managed by cloud service provider. We don't care about the management, the maintenance, update, patching, and so on. All managed by cloud service provider. Subscriber only manage apps data. That means the user data. You need to manage your customer data, for example. Okay. Who can register based on what? Based on roles, for example, based on their subscription to your service. Depend. Okay. In IaaS, infrastructure as a service is defined around providing infrastructure hardware component as service to the end user. Normally, when we talk about the component, hardware component, compute node, it consists of CPU, memory, and storage. And then they got also network, right? Network bandwidth. Three main component or in data center: compute, main CPU and memory, storage, and also network, right? This is three main infrastructure components. So in example here, you have infrastructure as infrastructure as a service, and then if you want to develop your own application, you need to install your app server stack, right? Plus your operating system. If you want to host a web application using Apache web server or Nginx web server, you need to install Linux, for example. On top of Linux, you will install the web server, web application, database server. This is app server stack. Okay, and then the software application, that's mean your application are ready to use, then user will access your application only. But you need to manage your infrastructure. That means your operating system and your application stack. But hardware managed by your cloud service provider. Virtual hardware, that means virtual network, virtual storage, you can manage, right? Virtual firewall, virtual security group, you can manage. But physical one mostly are managed by cloud service provider. Okay, IaaS delivery model features. First, virtualization. Without virtualization, a bit difficult to manage the abstraction layer, right? It's a central to IaaS. It's the concept of hypervisor and virtualization. So with hypervisor and virtualization, cloud service provider can provide isolate environment, compartmentalization environment for their tenant or their subscriber. Okay. So it's not easy for cloud service provider to provide any amount of storage, any amount of CPU and memory to the customer. That's why you can choose type of machine and how specification of the machine, right? Is because of virtualization. The pool of resource will be virtualized and can be can be customized by the user, self-service. And then cloud bursting. can be automatic scaling based on the load. This one is the best option for the user for which did not have consistent workload. The workload maybe can be increased rapidly or can be uh, decreased rapidly. Cloud bursting. Okay. Is the practice of bursting into a cloud when capacity has been reached in the corporate cloud or data center. Resolve the seasonal non-constant workload. Example, you have your private cloud or you have your on-premise data center. Normally, you will host your application, include your database inside your on-premise data center, right? You know, the user maybe only utilize maximum 60% of your CPU. But they are seasonal, right? Non-constant workload. Like, for example, at Indeed itself. Normally, your student information system didn't require much. But during the registration cost registration, the demand become increased for example 100% or 200%. This is cloud bursting. Then you can move the workload, part of the workload to the cloud to accommodate the requirement, which actually non-constant, only seasonal. This example. Other than that, for example, um, e-commerce system, right? They have their own data center, but every month, one day only, they were having their campaign. Sale will be increased, the transaction will be increased rapidly, 200%, 300% increase. And that additional requirement or additional workload will be moved to the cloud. That's why they call it cloud bursting. Other model features of this model, right? But multi-tenancy. And you see, multi-tenancy means allow multiple users make use of common infrastructure on transparent sharing basis. You see, although you have a tenant, 1, 2, 3, the application same, middleware same, they can share. In multi-tenant, we can share all, but they are based on their account, right? They only manage their own account in the same application. This is the application list. Most of the time we're using this. Alright, multi-tenant application, multi-tenant model. In Blackboard implementation, we are subscribed using software as a service, but we did not manage the hardware, OS and middleware. Right, we only manage the user data, so that also consider multi-tenant. Multi-tenant use the same application, but for single tenant, although they are sharing the hardware, but they are isolate themselves in using different virtual machine, operating system, middleware, and application. This is in infrastructure as a service perspective. Multi-tenancy or single tenant. And then resource pooling. This also common features of cloud, right? Involving pooling up of a physical server resources, right? So you have how many physical server, then you can pull it together. No need to identify. Okay, you customer one, you take server one. Customer two take server two. But cannot be shared. It's difficult to manage the resource, right? To fully utilize the resource. So the resource will be uh, wasting idle time, right? So that's why they require pooling of physical server resource and sharing these resources among multiple users on demand basis. So you have, for example, the storage 2 terabyte. You have 100 disk with 2 terabyte. In total, you have 200 terabyte. So that 200 terabyte can be shared together with not only for 200 but maybe 2000 users, because each user only require a specific amount of space, so they didn't require to allocate specific physical storage to them, right? We are pooling it. So resource pooling fill up and any unutilized slack by optimizing the overall usage of the infrastructure. Okay. High utilization. This resource pooling can offer cloud service provider in terms of high utilization, high performance, and serviceability. So the system, for example, system B, system A, they can just pick the resource they want. It doesn't care which storage or CPU or other physical resources. They just share it. An example of IaaS offered by industry or cloud service provider. Okay, in your lab assessment last time, you see you using EC2, correct? Amazon EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. So this self-service portal allows subscriber to create a cloud server instance online. That means any machine that you want, you can create online. Images already there. Just choose which image of operating system or OS server you want to deploy using the self-service portal in AWS. Later you can explore more on your AWS Academy. There are many other services, right? We just look at 3 services which are instant EC2, S3 storage, and also CDN. But there are many more. You can explore by yourself. Because I think next semester you did not yet enroll for IBM 3204. If not, if yes, you can explore based on your subject. Okay, and then we have another provider, Rackspace. Manage Rackspace.cloud.com. This provides also self-service portal to subscribe for cloud service. Okay, for some of you, IBM 4201, we are using Google Cloud, correct? GCP, Google Cloud Platform. For IaaS, normally under the service name as Compute Engine, right? Virtual Machine Compute Engine. So it is considered IaaS. And then one more delivery model, example, platform as a service. Normally they provide operating system environment which already customized for you. And then this PaaS service also provide you web hosting environment with complex stacks. For example, already configured with web server, servlet container, database, etc. Depend on your requirement, depend on your needs. So you just choose the customized stack that provided by cloud service provider. Then you just develop your application on top of it. Normally DevOps, DevSecOps require this platform as a service because it's easier to collaborate each other, especially for development team. Right, you have many members, so each members of your team can share their code and can integrate them together to make the application run smoothly. Rather than you do it standalone in your machine, then when you want to try to integrate, it doesn't work. So better using DevOps or platform as a service. And then secure computing environment with all the security protocol audited and compliance law adhered to. This means most of cloud service provider, they will provide you security protocols which already audited by third-party auditor like KPMG, Ernst and Young. This is the environment provided, because without that security protocols, normally user did not trust their service. Most of them offer security features and security platform, secure and platform to develop their software or application. And then another features of platform as a service, normally software version control platform. It look like the GitHub, right? Git. I said before, for software developer, you need to know about Git, right? How it's work. This is one of the version control platform. So when you update DevOps, right? Development operation, you update and it's work, then they will give, this software will assign the version of each software. That's why you see your mobile apps is keep require updating, right? When you update, they will give the numbers. The numbers mean the version, right? And then the development environment. This is the main component lah, right? When the developer subscribe for PaaS, they will look into it. What type of tools, development tools available? Is it testing tools, compiler, debugger, test script, and all those are available, right? Normally, platform as a service contain this kind of services ready with all the development tools. So just choose the preferred development tool you want to use. So you didn't require to setting or install or download in your machine. You just develop directly in the cloud environment. So this is a good option for software developer. So you didn't think about the license, because when you subscribe for an service, the license of the development environment actually shared. That means, for example, you use for 1 month, so you only pay for a month's basis. If not, in traditional infrastructure, you need to buy, for example, for 1 year subscription. Although they put price per month, but actually you need at least subscribe for 1 year. It's not worth. Better you use the cloud environment. Although 1 month, actually the price also will be lower compared to the normal subscription, because you are sharing the resource, sharing the license with other tenant as well. Okay, and then test environment with the right configuration pre-done to suit a test run. For developer, software development, test is the important part, correct? They have many tests. So for software engineering, you know, right? Functionality test, non-function test, security test. You can have a vulnerability assessment test, pen test, many tests. So they are able to provide you. Just choose what type of test you require. Okay. PS lies directly upon an IaaS layer with a solution stack. Actually, if you have uh, IaaS, you can install by yourself the platform, right? The IDE, integrated development environment, but you need to manage by yourself. But if you're using PaaS or managed by cloud provider, only you manage your application development part. Okay. And then summarizing everything required for the whole software engineering lifecycle, from the design, development, debugging, testing, and deployment. Each of these phases can be summarized in your platform as a service. Report can be generated. Okay. With DevSec of that mean development, security, and operation, and they give you another option, another service related to software development, secure software development, right? So you just choose which package you require. Okay, to list a platform on a pay per use basis. These features, most of the features based on pay per use basis. Like I said before, if you subscribe for less than 1 month, they just charge you based on that particular billing account. 3 months or 3 weeks, for example, they charge you only for 3 weeks. Deploy SVM carries a pre-built VM with installed operating system and middleware ready to host user application. So here you see, don't confuse between IaaS and PaaS. Okay, in infrastructure as a service, provide virtual machine only as mere hardware without or with OS or configuration. But for PaaS, provide virtual machine with OS and full configuration to develop your software, not only for operating system, but for the software development part. So this is the difference. So you can choose, for example, the package Linux, Ubuntu Linux with XAMPP, right? Windows Server with WAMP, all the stack, all the knowledge management system, for example. So this is PaaS compared to IaaS, only virtual machine and operating system, right? So this is the difference. PaaS provide a software platform that is required to develop, run, and support other user software application. Okay, not only develop and run, but also can support other user software and application. So don't confuse between this PaaS and SaaS also, because although it can support software, other user software and application, but normally it's a predefined, right? You need to develop, you need to configure the software. But you can integrate when you develop and run your own software or your application, you can integrate with the additional or the third party software and application. So this is how the difference between PaaS and SaaS. But for SaaS, you just have option to choose the available package, available software without uh, any control to modify the code, to integrate with your own application, a bit difficult, right? So back to PS, you having your own application, you can customize it, you can recode, review, and so on. This is a example of PaaS component. The PaaS layer is subdivided into two main components. First, computing platform, and second, middleware stack. Computing platform here refer to OS layer itself that is required to run any kind of software over the hardware, virtual or physical. So the operating system itself, right? And then the middleware refer to the operating environment built over the computing platform to support other application. This is the middleware to support other application like web server, Java servlet, container, version control software, development environment, etc. So you have two main component, OS and middleware. OS, you see Microsoft Windows, Azure, Google Apps Engine. This is Cloud OS. But typically the middleware also required some sort like specific operating system, like your server, web server. Normally you need Linux or Unix Windows that has a operating system, and then you install the middleware on top of it. Okay, thing to consider before choosing PaaS. When is suitable for you to choosing PaaS compared to IaaS and also SaaS, right? The user will have an application on mind before going in for PaaS. Okay, your company required to develop a new application. Then you see, okay, in your mind, you got new application for example, a maintenance system, right? The building maintenance system, for example, or building reporting system about the maintenance or about any right or whatsoever, right? Okay, in your mind. And then you think about scalability of the platform. The user need to check if the platform provided will scale as per application demand or not. Yes, you can develop the application, but how to deploy? You can deploy in the same platform. However, you need to check, is it the platform provided by your cloud service provider can scale? If let's say the application demand become higher and higher, increase. If they can provide, then that's okay for you. Scale mean not only scale up, but also scale down, like a seasonal, right? Seasonal part. Last time we discussed in IaaS. PaaS also require that. It's not only the numbers of servers, numbers of database servers, it's also about the firewall itself. Is it can be scaled together or not? Okay, you need to check. And about security, a single platform instance may be shared with other tenant. This may introduce security concern for data and transaction. Adequate security provisions must be in place to ensure proper data isolation. Because in multi-tenant environment, you see a single instance. For example, you are choosing the .NET environment, or you are choosing the web server environment, which actually also share with other tenant. So how can your data in that same server can be isolated securely? This is the thing. Ensure proper data isolation. And they are using maybe the compartmentalization, sandbox or whatever. They can provide for you secure proper data isolation in the same virtual server, virtual application, right? In normally in platform as a service lah. Okay, a user must prefer open standard while choosing a platform. Why open standard? Any idea? Think about it. Open standard, because when you are using closed or proprietary standard, you are locked in yourself to that particular cloud service provider only, because it's not maybe not supported by others, right? If you're using open standard, you can move your application or to other cloud service provider if you want to try or want to migrate them, right? For example, you didn't satisfy with that cloud service provider service or performance, then you can move. That's why you need open standard. And then easy deployment of the application. The cloud service provider must provide tools that would enable easy deployment of the application on the platform itself. This is what developer want, right? If very complicated, difficult for them to collaborate, to deploy, to develop, to configure, it's wasting their time. And then a bit difficult to troubleshoot as well. So must choose the best or the easiest one from other, maybe from multiple cloud service provider. Okay, you need to look into it. And then the platform must accommodate future enhancement to the hosted application. Is it they can provide you the updated version of uh, IDE, or they can provide you with additional API if you required, feature enhancement a lot, right? For example, you want to add on new features, uh, scanning features, GPS, and so on. Is it they can provide you support? Versioning can be, right? Example here, service provided by PS, cloud service provider, right? Example, Salesforce.com, Force, their name Force platform. Enable end user to build social apps using the social enterprise API provided by the platform. So this Salesforce become a main player for this, right? And then end user easy to app building their apps without require a strong knowledge of programming. That's the people want actually. And then a web hosting platform provided by Yahoo on subscription basis. The platform provide everything you want need to host a website using open or proprietary software technology. This is more on the web server hosting. They have more. There are many more, right? Uh, some of you may be using Heroku, Exabyte in AWS, and Google Apps Engine also provide you by this. In GCP, we have Instant for IaaS, and then we have GCE for platform as a service. They can provide you also a service like Google Apps Engine, right? GAE as a platform as a service. You can choose the IDE built inside the Google Cloud. This is an example. Yeah, for Microsoft Azure, they also provide a good platform as a service to the customer. So you have an option. Just need to explore which solutions are available and also suit with your requirement. This is common, right? Common technology stack provided by web hosting PaaS stack. Just example. Web server normally consists of Apache, Microsoft IIS, Tomcat, right? Engine. For container, normally they will use Engine, lightweight one. For KNS, knowledge management system, like the Joomla, WordPress, they're using a web server like Apache. It's considered PaaS as well. And a servlet container or web server script container, right? This is lightweight server which can support the PHP, CGI, Perl, Ruby, and etc. This is more on the script, right? Web script, web server script, which running in server side. Different with your HTML, which running in your client side, right? And then database that interact with web-based API for data exchange. So they have 2-tier, 3-tier web application. So if 2-tier, the web-based API will communicate with database directly. If 3-tier, they have web server, app server, and database. And then the web management plane, they call it cPanel. You know about cPanel, right? Where you can manage your web hosting, the web stack here, web management panel. You can upload, download your web file and manage all those your web asset. Okay, this is cPanel. Then console-based access for advanced administration, like SSH, FTP account, and so on. So although they are using web-based, right? You can access using web-based. Sometimes you have a maybe not stable connection using web-based. You can try to use the console-based using secure shell file transfer protocol to transfer your web file. Right? Sometimes you are updating offline, for example, or you updating in different machine. Then you can use SSH and FTP to transfer your data, transfer your web file to the web server. Other than that, maybe they also provide you web analytic tools to determine number of visitors to the website, geographic distribution, etc. Like map also, right? Analytic. So that's why you can calculate how many click, how many visitor, right? Okay. In I can give you an example here. In Alibaba is the B2B, business to business e-commerce system, right? So when you post your catalog, for example, you can measure based on this analytic how many people click, how many people visit fully, how many people uh, send comment or review. This is analytic requirement nowadays become demand, right, for analytic, especially for e-commerce system, bank system, and other system that relies on customer satisfaction. Okay. Other than that, we also can uh, get SEO as the PaaS step, search engine optimization tools, to optimize your web application for search engine. So that's why when you, for example, you Google about cloud computing costs, you will see maybe Inti itself, because Inti using SEO, right? When talk about cloud computing costs, Inti International University will appear. For example, in Malaysia lah, because not many, right? Okay, and this is search engine optimization. They will put our site in the top list if you're using got good search engine optimization using keyword and so on. Okay, I think that's all for the first part, and we will continue for second part, SaaS or SaaS. Okay, in the next video. Okay, bye bye. Thank you.